As the world continues to grow technologically, countries like Nigeria are stepping up their game in all facets of life towards advancing their growth. One of the major sectors of the economy that has received and is still receiving a boost is tourism and hospitality in Nigeria. Identified as a critical sector, it has indeed assumed a center stage in the economic agenda of most nations. Now, tourism and hospitality sector, as a rapidly growing phenomenon, has become one of the largest industries in the world. This is in view of its capacity to quickly stimulate income growth, generate foreign exchange, and contribute to domestic earnings of government through fees and taxes. Latest developments in tourism in Nigeria are a clear indication that the country is set to explore new employment opportunities that are bound in the sector, which serves as a major driver of socio-economic development, even as it is seen as an alternative strategy for sustainability and economic diversification. Now, to strengthen the manpower and fine-tune practices in the sector, the Nigerian government has repositioned the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTOUR, for efficient service delivery. And that is why on Frontiers now, we are having as our guest Director General, National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTOUR, Chika Balogu, to shed more light on the activities of NIHOTOUR as regards the mandate given to it by the federal government of Nigeria. Chika Balogu, DG NIHOTOUR, welcome to Frontiers.
Thank you.
Now, tourism and hospitality sector is a rapidly growing phenomenon and has become one of the largest industries in the world and as a potential player in the sector. How has Nigeria fared in this sector, in your own opinion?
Nigeria has not fared badly. We probably entered into it without academic backing, some kind of training, you know, and all the regular things that should come first normally. But the private sector delved into it and not doing so badly. However, for us to move to the next level and actually make real gains from tourism as a business, we must begin to professionalize the industry. We must take training seriously. We must begin to, you know, upgrade our facilities. We must begin to make sure that the roads to the assets we have are well done. You know, we must begin to expose children at very young ages to the business called tourism. We must begin to value our culture and keep our cultures alive, our festivals, and all of the beautiful things that make Nigeria what Nigeria is, you know. And I'm very proud of this government because they have taken tourism as one of the pillars for change within Nigeria. We have security, we have corruption, we have agriculture, aviation, and all of them, but we also have tourism, and that makes us all very happy. Again, this particular administration has helped us pass through the 8th Assembly the bill establishing NIHOTOUR, so we now have a legal framework that makes the job even easier. But certainly, tourism is no longer at infancy, it's no longer a baby, it's beginning to walk, and very soon hopefully would see it begin to run in Nigeria.
So we have not actually got there from
no,
what you're saying,
still
but we still, yeah,
it's
work
still
in
work
progress.
in progress.
Now, National Institute of Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTOUR, was established as a result of a tripartite agreement between Nigerian government and 2 other development partners. How far has this agreement or partnership gone in achieving its set of objectives?
Oh, well, the partnership no longer exists in the strict sense of what it was 31 odd years ago, but we are still working very closely with the ILO as technical partners in the work of NIHOTOUR. Federal government now wholly owns NIHOTOUR. We're also sending out letters to the UNDP to get them back on board. We need their technical expertise. They've been in this for a very long time. The original idea was to make NIHOTOUR the apex training center for the entire West Africa. And that's our hope that in the next few years, NIHOTOUR actually becomes the go-to training center for the whole of West Africa. Certainly the ILO are back on board and are working closely with us in technical development, and I'm hopeful that the UNDP will come on board. We're also also looking to work closely with UNIDO in terms, again, of technical training and expertise. And I'm sure in the next few weeks to a few months, the UNIDO partnership will be sealed.
You're hoping to do more partnerships?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We need the technical expertise from people who have done it longer than we have.
Yeah, who know better than we do us at the moment.
Some parts of it, yes.
Okay, in our introduction, we actually mentioned that new employment opportunities abound in the sector, that's the tourism sector. In specific terms, what are the job areas that are available in the travel, tourism, and hospitality industry in Nigeria?
That would take 1 hour to answer, but I'll do my best to compress it.
Yes.
Tourism is life, and it cuts across all sectors. So there's a value chain that starts from A to Z as far as the alphabets are concerned. It means that there's hospitality, there's travel, which comprises aviation and land travel, sea travel, rail travel, all the travel, so to speak. Then there are hotels and hoteliers, there are bush bars and bookers and restaurants, and the value chain in that direction. And then you have the tour sites themselves, where you actually can go and experience something, either in nature or man-made. Then you have tour guides who take you to those experiences. So in terms of areas, we start from the lowest level, where you're looking at someone who makes a little bit of arts and crafts, soaps, little soaps and all of that, because the value chain comprises of creative industry and all of that. So you start from there. You get to the taxi drivers who carry people from the airports or the parks when they arrive a new city. And then you get to tour guides who actually can take you around the sights and sounds of Nigeria, for instance. Then you get accommodation. When you're in a hotel, the service provided from the front desk, in fact, from the butler outside to the front desk person, to the housekeeper, the receptionist, and all of that. And then, of course, we go to the mixologists who work at the bars and all of those things. And then we leave there and we want to now experience nature. Again, we get there by some form of transport. We have tour guides who are there. We have people who help us, there. We have people who work in arts and crafts who actually do beautiful paintings and different crafts that we buy as souvenirs when we're going home. We have hospitals, because sometimes you're out, in Abuja and you take ill. You need to be attended to. You're a tourist in Abuja, So it cuts across every sector. And then in the evening, you want to let your hair down. Entertainment. There we have the Wizkids of the world. We have the Davidos of the world. And all the young, new, great artists coming up in Nigeria. Nigeria is phenomenal in terms of our tourism assets. I choose not to call them potentials anymore, because we actually have them. We're leaving them. We only need to professionalize and develop the industry. It is growing. It is evolving. But I would encourage anyone, be you a medical doctor today, to come into the tourism industry if you're looking for where to go to. There's so much. You can work as a chef if you want to, and become the best paid chef in the world, because our cuisine is second to none. You can work in the hospitality industry, in hotels. You can work as an arts person. You can make little soaps. There's a little place in Cross River State that makes this fantastic soaps. And I have some friends who are Kenyans, and they come and buy the soap and wrap up as Christmas presents, and my local people don't realize what's happening. Yes, so it's almost inexhaustible.
Last time when I interviewed you, you talked about how people go about thinking or aspiring to become lawyers and doctors and stuff, regarding these areas of specialities that are good,
yes.
That could actually earn them a living.
Yes. I must remind all of us that if you look at the top 10 richest people in the world, there are people who provide services.
Yeah, it looks like Nigerians are looking down on these areas.
They need to do a little bit of homework. Their friend is called Google. Just Google the top 20 richest people in the world. You'd find that a good 70% of them are people who provide services. They're not people who are lawyers or doctors. They provide services. And even the doctors who begin to make a lot of money are those who develop tools for, operations and helping people get better, not just necessarily the things they learned, in medical school. So services are the way to go. And tourism is almost 100% service driven. People must realize that education is critical, yes, but it's not education in the old sense, in the traditional sense. Robotics are taking over now. So when people are even thinking they want to study engineering, you better be advising that child on the field of engineering to study, because some fields of engineering are going to be obsolete very soon, you know. But within tourism, because tourism is life, as long as we exist, people will move, people will eat, people would need entertainment, they will need somewhere to sleep, they will need someone to take them somewhere, to guide them. So the business of tourism is the only business that will last all through life. So I encourage people, even if you already have a degree in one or two things, pick up a skill. We must become skills driven in this country. You know, I have a friend, Dr. Roberts, he's a medical doctor, but he's one of the best confectioners in Nigeria, and he makes a lot of money. His cakes cost more, possibly because there's a doctor to the tag, you know, that bakes a cake, you know, but we're all proud of what he does. And there are quite a lot of examples in that direction. So I encourage our young children to please, regardless of what you studied, if you're not yet gainfully employed, delve into tourism, look into it. And then we must, in education as well, be mindful of that from when kids are in primary school, we expose them to other skill sets other than just the professional, you know, traditional professional things, and allow them to make their choices. They may
excel in those other areas.
Absolutely. We're doing that with a company called Jethro. We have a club now, a kids club, that's doing in primary, secondary, and universities to try to begin to sensitize young kids about the business called tourism.
Find out their talents.
Yes.
Now, you are particular about training, and of course that's why your institute is there. You're talking about training and retraining.
Absolutely.
In the industry. How do you intend to get practitioners, you know, to heed this call?
First of all, I'm looking forward to the day that our President Muhammad Buhari signs our bill into law, and then, you know, it is law, and I'm sure all my stakeholders are law-abiding citizens, so it won't even be something would need to work so hard for them to understand. But even in a private sense, I've had conversations with quite a lot of them, and they do understand. In fact, their worry is that, you know, more schools should come up, more training facilities should come up, especially for little niche areas like bartending and little things like that, because that's what a lot of Nigerians go to. They go to gardens and all of that in the evening, but we don't have quality trained people there. Because
over the years, it's been the practice of just entering into the business and doing it like that.
Yes. So, but they do understand the value in training. We're going to do some advocacy, certainly, but I'm sure I'm already preaching to the converted. So it shouldn't be that much of labor getting them to sign on. I know the crisis they're going to have is for people who are already working in the industry. How will they get them trained in terms of, you know, paying out the monies and all of that? But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm sure the stakeholders absolutely understand that the only way to grow tourism in Nigeria as a business, a profitable business, is to train and retrain and retrain.
All right. NIHOTOUR, we understand, existed for almost 30 years without an enabling act until 9 months ago. That's since your tenure, within this your tenure, when a bill for its legal backing was passed. It came into existence. Okay, give us more insight on this accomplishment. How did you get there? Why did you find it very, very important?
Well, as a law-abiding citizens of Nigeria, you must make sure that whatever you do is backed by law. NIHOTOUR had existed for, you know, close on 30 years, and we didn't have any legal backing. In a democracy, that makes your entity or your agency non-existent. So for me, it was a critical issue that we had to deal with. First of all, government had paid salaries for so long, and we didn't have a legal backing. To my mind, it was the #1 thing that we had to work on. My team and I, because it wasn't something that I did by myself. I have a great team at NIHOTOUR, and they worked very closely with us. We went to our friends at the Ministry of Justice as well to help us review and all of that. So quite a number of people worked on getting the bill out. And then the 8th Assembly, very graciously, were very determined. I think they understood the value of tourism for Nigeria and what it can bring to Nigeria. And then they acted actively pursued making sure that we got that bill through. A lot of challenges along the way, but to the glory of God, we have been able to pass both houses, and it's waiting assent from the president now. I know the president will sign, because tourism is one of those areas that he hopes will use to re-engineer the economy of Nigeria. So I would say a big thank you to the 8th Assembly. I would say a big thank you to the Honorable Minister, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who was also very supportive of our pushing to get the legal backing for NIHOTOUR. I'd say a big thank you to my staff. Sometimes we were in the office till 1 a.m. It wasn't easy. The Ministry of Justice staff who helped us, and all those who have been, supportive. The ILO, sent in quite a number of advice in what we could put into the bill, and even stakeholders. We had quite a number of stakeholders.
Like you said, the bill will enable you to break more grounds.
Oh,
we will hold it there. We'll come back to continue with the program. This is Frontiers, and our guest is the Director General, National Institute of Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTOUR, Chika Balogu, talking about repositioning tourism sector in Nigeria through the National Institute of Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTOUR. Here we continue from where we stopped. Can we have an X-ray of the NIHOTOUR bill on regulation of personnel practice in the hospitality and tourism industry? Okay.
In a nutshell, what the bill seeks to address is certification and registration of personnel. By certification, we mean anyone who says they're certified to work at whatever level will now have to send that certificate to NIHOTOUR for us to verify. Okay. And then if you're currently in school, it becomes automatic from any school you're attending. There are quite a number of people who have certification that we're not sure are correct. And then the registration of personnel will be an annual registration of people who work in the industry. The federal government needs to have data of the number of people who work in the industry across all the different states. This would help for planning and budgeting in terms of development for tourism. So it's an annual thing. All personnel in the industry will have to register. Like the MBA, for instance, if you want to practice in the industry in any given year, you do your registrations before the end of March. There will be a token fee for that registration, because we'll have to set up a special unit for it, but just a token fee. The idea is to help us further develop tourism as we go on. Certification becomes compulsory. For those who work in the industry already, we'll give you a time frame within which to get your certification for the level you want to operate under. So if you're a manager, certainly you're not talking about NOS 1 to 3, you're talking about NOS 6. NOSs are the National Occupational Standards, for instance, or you have a degree in tourism or a master's in tourism, but we'll be verifying your claims and those certificates.
How do you intend to ensure compliance?
The bill actually gives us some teeth to bite, powers to bite, including if you don't even pay your registration fees on time. There's quite a lot of backing by law that allows us to penalize you, discipline you, and there's going to be a committee set up made up of mainly stakeholders. NIHOTOUR will probably just have 1 or 2 persons on that board that actually deals with discipline within the industry as far as professional practices are concerned. I'm hopeful that we would not have to bring out the teeth quite often, because I do believe that the stakeholders themselves understand the value of training and what it will bring to the industry.
Your coming on board has actually made some modest achievements in NIHOTOUR. It saw to the streamlining of and approval of courses by NIHOTOUR, leading to recognizing training certification. Yeah. Give us more light.
On assumption into NIHOTOUR, I asked for the legal backing, and because there wasn't any, I immediately asked, so what's the value of the certification that we're giving out? great school, great teachers, and great delivery of service to the end user, the students. But again, I didn't want a situation where the certification that they carry could be challenged anywhere. So we went to the MBTE, that's the National Board for Technical Education, and sought to be an approved training center. And then graciously, the Federal Executive Council also awarded NIHOTOUR to become the Sector Skills Council for Hospitality, Travel and Tourism Trades in Nigeria. This is also a council that determines per time what the curriculum should be, you know, working with the stakeholders. So we got those two things going very quickly and were able to revamp our courses in line. Now we're an approved training center for the National Occupational Standards. Levels 1 to 3 has been approved by the Sector Skills Council and signed off by MBTE board. Levels 4, 5, and 6 are being worked on now. So we have that as one of the courses that we do officially. We are also a WAHEB training center. We're also an IATA ATC, that's an approved training center. So I quickly looked at what programs are we doing that will add value to the students who come and how we could intensify those.
Okay, talking about the programs you run, we hear that you have an online youth empowerment training program nicknamed Smart Jobs.
Project Smart Jobs, yes. That's in conjunction with, it's not a NIHOTOUR, wholly based NIHOTOUR activity. It's in conjunction with Consolidated Alliance. They're private sector partners who want to deliver tourism training via ICT. They're looking at a big platform. The idea with the platform is not only to train, but to immediately engage those who train, if they're so inclined, to be gainfully employed, to become agents of all tourism activities. In fact, they go a little bit beyond tourism activities on the platform. So we were very pleased to work with them. They deployed all of the money. When I saw the bill from my Microsoft server for 1 month, you know, I knew we couldn't afford any of those kind of things. But they have gotten the platform running and all of that. And what we're doing is driving our students, especially those who are already working and cannot come out of work to get trained, to go online and get trained there. NIHOTOUR traditional courses will also be put on that platform on the NIHOTOUR.com. So you're also able to do some of our traditional courses if you go through that platform. But the smart in it is the fact that using your smartphone, you're able to do quite a number of things. You can do your training, you can do your trading online and make your profits from it. So it's ICT is the way the world is going, technology is the way the world is going. This is our first partnership.
Yes,
that
talking
is
about the
training.
youth empowerment.
Absolutely, because first of all, with all due respect to my age mates and above, the young ones are the ones who always have, you know, a handheld in their hands for one reason. And Nigeria is a very young country. So when we're talking about employment and job creation, we're really talking about the young ones. And that's our focus.
NIHOTOUR just held, or has held, a first combined convocation for the Institute. Yes. You held it in 2015, I gathered. Yes. Now, as you're preparing for one now, it's coming up this year. Yes. What are the preparations like?
Well, still at the level where we're sending out our invitations, and by this medium, may I invite all our stakeholders and the general public. The convocation is going to hold on the 25th of August at the Women's Development Center. This is going to be a combined convocation of all those who have graduated from that 2015 to date. We try to keep it a few years apart because of the way the industry is run, and people are coming from all over the country, so that we give them a little bit of time to get ready and plan and get excited towards the convocation. We're looking forward to a great convocation. We're going to have in excess of thousands of young people who have graduated over the last few years in NIHOTOUR. And then we're also going to be giving fellowships, awards to certain members of the industry who deserve the NIHOTOUR fellowship. It's going to be an exciting day, and we're looking forward to it. We're also running a magazine, and we're hoping that our stakeholders are able to put their adverts out and all of that in the NIHOTOUR Today magazine for the special edition for the convocation.
Talking about graduating from the NIHOTOUR, yeah, talking about that, we heard that NIHOTOUR had come first in IATA Training, that's International Air Travel Association. in Africa. Tell us more about this.
Oh, that's one particular course work that we do that we're very proud of, the IATA program. We actually at a point I think came third in the world. One of our students, when we say first, it's not the institute in real terms.
Okay.
It's the young person who has taken the exams and has
in the institute.
Yes, through the institute, and has done so very well. We proudly were first in Africa a few years ago, but consistently we're always between the first and the 10th globally. Phenomenal. In terms of training. We're pushing to maybe consistently remain #1, especially in Africa. I am even doing an IATA course. What people don't realize is that IATA is affiliated with so many universities, including the Harvard University. They have a Harvard leadership course. That's what I'm doing in IATA.
Course.
Oh yes, absolutely.
What else do you need?
The IATA leadership training. I have a saying that we learn until the day we die. So learning is constant. We must always expose ourselves to training. You're never too old, you're never too young. Constantly have a spirit that is open to learn, to absorb new things. That's the only way to develop yourself.
On a final note, what is your dream for tourism industry in Nigeria?
I'm looking forward to the day tourism in Nigeria becomes the #1 contributor to our national GDP. And it is doable even within the next 10 years. We need to work very closely with statistics and other government agencies to draw out data gathering that allows them to actually feed the system with what comes out of tourism in a very holistic manner. It's not just about hotels or travels, but quite a lot. So within the entire value chain, we need someone who is able to put that data together and tell Nigerians holistically that this is what the tourism, hospitality, creative sector industry is contributing to the GDP. I remember a few years ago when the economy was rebased and we became the best or the largest in Africa, it was out of the creative industry, which is part of tourism. So I'd like to see for us to be very serious about gathering our data and putting this empirical evidence out there for people to understand the power that is inherent in tourism. I look forward to a day when our services are fully professionalized, where people understand the power of training and continuous professional development, and you don't have to speak to them about it. It's just something they know they have to do. I look forward to when we begin to attract Nigerians traveling within Nigeria, first of all, as domestic tourism, because you have to be proud of what you own before you can sell it to someone else. I then look forward to when the rest of the world begins to come to Nigeria to visit. I look at Nigeria as the last frontier in terms of unexplored vistas, absolutely beautiful vistas, from Sokoto to Imo State to Lagos to Osun, back again to Maiduguri. It's absolutely beautiful. The Taraba Mountains, and it's wonderful. And we must constantly engage our young ones, engage even the older ones. Travel Nigeria, travel Nigeria, travel Nigeria, and it will help us to continue to professionalize our system.
Lofty dreams you have there for Nigeria's tourism sector.
Doable.
Thank you, Chika Balogu, for coming on
so
Frontiers. It's been Frontiers, and our guest has been the Director General, National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTOUR, Chika Balogu. She talked on repositioning tourism sector in Nigeria through NIHOTOUR. And I've been Nancy Godi Angunihu, thanking you for staying tuned.